What's up? What's going on, y'all? How y'all doing today? Okay. Michelle in the house. Joke time. Alright. Here we go. A woman wakes up out of her sleep and looks over and finds that her husband is not in bed with her. So she gets up, puts on her robe, and goes downstairs to go look for her husband. So she finds her husband sitting in the living room on the couch with his face in his hands. So she begins to watch her husband. And then her husband gets a tear come from his eyes and it rolls down his cheek. So then the woman says, "Oh, honey, what's wrong? Why are you up at 12 o'clock at night? What are you doing down here?" And then her husband, getting tears in his eyes and rolling down his cheek, and he says, "This will be the 20th anniversary of when we first met." And then the woman begins to get tears in her eyes and roll down her cheek. She is so surprised that her husband is just so thoughtful and caring. So then her husband looks up at her and he says, "Do you remember 20 years ago when we first met? I was 18 and you were only 15. She says, "Oh yes, honey, I remember." So then the woman comes and sits down beside her husband on the couch, just so surprised that her husband is just so caring and thoughtful. And she's getting tears in her eyes coming down her cheeks. And then the husband looks at her and he says, "And do you remember when your father found us in the back seat of my car?" She says, "Oh yes, honey, I remember." And then tears rolling down his cheeks. And he says, "And do you remember that time when your father put that shotgun and shoved it in my face and said, 'You'll marry my daughter or do 20 years in the pen'?" She laughs, tears rolling down her cheeks, says, "Yes, honey, I remember." Thinking that her husband is just so thoughtful and caring. Then he begins to get tears in his eyes and just rolling down his cheeks. And he's shaking his head. And he pauses for a minute. And then her husband says, "Today would have been the day that I would have gotten out." Okay. Yep, that's my joke for today. So if you want to see more videos, then hit the follow button and follow me. Hit like, show some love, and I will see y'all next time. Later.